yourselves. If you guys have got a question, just use the raise hand feature. I'll call on you guys, simply unmute and go ahead and ask your question. But Coach, we'll start with you with an opening statement about the big win on Wednesday and looking forward to rekindling the rivalry with the Falcons on Tuesday.
Yeah, obviously it's been a quick turnaround. We've turned the page. Kids did a great job yesterday coming in with the right mindset to grow and improve and get better and own what we put on tape and on the field on Wednesday night for everyone to see and for everyone to, scout. And obviously that's who we are right now. I thought it was really cool and really proud of where we're at in terms of our player-led culture, to where the guys were satisfied that we won, but there was a certain error in the building, yesterday as we were reviewing the tape, and that they were not over jovial, that they knew that they underperformed to their standards, to their expectations that they have set, and again handled everything yesterday the right way. We've been prepping and preparing all morning for a very good Bowling Green team. Coach Leffler and his staff, you can tell they're building that thing the right way. And going to get on the road here for the first time, which will be unique in these circumstances, and kind of roll with the punches and see where things land on Tuesday night.
Once again, if you guys have got a question, just please use the raise hand feature, and we'll give you guys call on you, ask you to unmute, and go from there. But Alan, I know you're on a cell phone, so I don't know if you can do that. So I'll start with you to see if you've got any questions for Coach Lewis.
Yeah, I don't see any of those features on here, so yeah. But anyway, Coach, I don't think anybody knew exactly what was going to happen, in that opener. Now that you've been through it and you look back on it, how strange was it? Was it what you expected? Anything like that kind of comes to mind?
I guess the first thing that kind of jumps to my mind is that I've never been that kind of worked up before a game as I was. Like, there's just kind of I don't want to say nervous. I wasn't nervous, but there was a little bit of uneasiness just because of the lack of continuity and the lack of consistency through this whole thing. The time and the reps that we've lost, kind of like we talked about after the game and leading up to it with, the missed opportunities with spring practice, the missed opportunities, of the players not being together through a full summer conditioning and just kind of those player-led workouts, and just the lack of reps that we've had to invest. It's just been that lack of inconsistency left a little, uneasiness in my stomach. And we preach all the time around here that practice repetition is game reality. And, our preparation could have been better at times with the few opportunities that we do have. And our kids know that. And that showed up. We played really well in moments, and we played, again, not to our standard, not to the expectations that we have in-house. And the kids recognize that. They own that. And they know that we need to be better, and that starts with our process and just being consistent in how we approach day in and day out what we're doing, and how we do things really, really matters, right? We can't just show up and check the box. Okay, hey, we have a Tuesday practice. Like, everyone has a Tuesday practice, right? BG is going to have their Tuesday practice today on a Friday. But how you go about your business and how you practice and how you prepare, and the energy and enthusiasm that you bring to the building each and every single day, that matters a great deal. So it was unique. And I guess that was the one thing, there's that uneasiness, Alan, as I was kind of watching the team, just like, all right, who's going to show up in what areas, and a lot of new faces that needed to step up, which was encouraging to see. We had some young guys that stepped up to the occasion in their first kind of real significant collegiate snaps, which was great to see.
You feel like you have more of a firm grip on where you're at right now after that game?
I have a firmer grip on where we need to get better. And I think how we respond today and how we go through our preparation will give me a better feel and, help ease that uneasiness as we go forward, as we continue to improve. That was one thing that, again, we've done in the past, I feel, year in and year out, to where as the season goes along, we peak and we play our best ball at the end of the season. And we need to do that. So we got a starting point. We got a reference point now for what this 2020 team is going to be. I have a good idea in my head, and I think the kids, more importantly, do in their minds as well, of how good they can be. But potential means nothing. We got to get better today, and then we got to show up and perform on Tuesday. Otherwise, it doesn't mean a thing.
After you looked at the tape kind of individually, you mentioned some of the new guys that had an impact. Obviously, Lawrence Burke, Gamble, some other guys who kind of jumped out on tape.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I thought Mandel Lawrence Burke really shined, in his new role, in his position. I thought Keyshawn Gamble, I think he'd be the first to tell you that he probably started a little bit slow, but then once he did that Superman sack, like, it kind of was like, okay, we're going, and his production really peaked from there. Up front, I was pleased with the effort of Zay West, which was good to see. He needs to be more consistent, and again, he'll be the first to tell you that as well. I was pleased with Billy Kudik for getting his right start and playing every snap in the O-line. I thought he did a nice job there. I thought with Big A sliding inside Adam Gregory, where he had played predominantly tackle in his career, being able to kind of be a Swiss Army knife and be the utility man to slide down inside based off need. He did a nice job there. And then, the young receivers, I thought Dante Cephas and Jayshawn Polk showed up at times. Again, just the consistency and them having the amount of the workload that, they're not accustomed to, or the first time experiencing that. Again, the big word I'm probably going to repeat 100,000 times on this call, guys, is just being consistent with what we do. Again, there's flashes of it, and then there's other times where, again, it's not close to what the kids are capable of. So again, just having that consistency. But those are some guys that jump out. And again, Dean Clark, is one other guy that I'll mention just because he played a little bit in teams, but played obviously, a year ago as a true freshman, and now he's playing significant snaps defensively. For him to have some nice stops and a big interception there for his first career interception, that was good to see.
Dustin was able to hit Isaiah for that one touchdown. They just missed each other on several other occasions on deep balls. I know that's a big part of your offense. I know last year at the end when you guys were clicking, those just always seem to be caught. Just another one of the things. I'm sure that you're that close, you're capable, but yet just all the, like you're mentioning, inconsistencies again, and just not quite being able to hook up on that type of thing.
Yeah, I think, those deep balls, our fans and the people who have followed us since we've gotten here, I think back to like one of my first weekends in town where a diehard Ken alum was like, "Are we going to be able to complete a forward pass?" And I was like, "Yes, we will. Don't worry about that. Come to the games," right? And so our fan base and the people who follow us throughout the league know that our vertical passing game is a part of it. And everyone sees on game day for the past 2 years, particularly last year, how easy that looks, right? The end result. But there is a process year-round of the guys working together, getting that timing, building those relationships. And again, like that's one of these things that we got to get dialed in a hurry because there's nothing but reps that can replicate or replace those reps. So it's a fine line of getting those reps in that you don't worry about come summertime, summer conditioning. The guys are here and they're getting reps and reps and reps and reps, and those reps compound day in and day out. Where now, again, short week, delicate balance, everyone's conditioning's at different spots because of various reasons, but we still got to get our deep ball work before the weather changes here because come, November here in a few weeks, like I don't know what's going on right now in Northeast Ohio, but I'll take it. I guess going to church as much as I did during quarantines, working out a little bit, I'll take these 70-degree days, but we know this weather's going to change and there'll be other variables that will make the deep balls, that much more challenging. So we got to get that stuff dialed in and recalibrated as fast as possible here.
Yeah, one of the things last year that was kind of an ongoing issue was run defense. Talk about what was I mean, you actually lost some guys up front, and everybody's kind of wondering what's going to happen there. But I thought, that's some of the best numbers you put up against the run since you've been here.
Yeah, again, it's been a huge point of emphasis, and we talk about it, on these calls or in the press conferences week in and week out, and really pleased with the way the kids played. Again, wanted to have, as we sat down and we assessed things, we didn't want our kids to be on their heels. We wanted them to have a more downhill attacking mindset and mentality, and I thought our kids played that way, and they were able to show up when needed. The 2-point conversion that they stuffed was obviously very, very huge, a critical moment in the game. But to hold any opponent in this league under 100 yards rushing, and it ended up being, if I'm not mistaken, less than 2 yards a carry, that's our definition of stopping the run. And that was big time. It was great to see. And obviously the growth, with our defense going forward.
Am I still the only one on here, Dan?
I just shot a note to everybody in the chat. It doesn't look like the raise hand feature is working. So if anybody else has any questions, just shoot me a note here in the chat. Let's go over to Ben Pagani and the folks at TV2.
Good morning, Coach. I guess it's still morning time. So I'm just kind of curious. I know you've talked about some of the adjustments that your guys need to make in the next few days and what they thought about going on at practice. But I just want to know, what are some of the things specifically your coaching staff is having the guys work on that might be valuable for the next few days before Bowling Green?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing as always is doing a great job in preparation so that we're not chasing ghosts, so that we can narrow the reps that we're getting and have a greater sense of focus and, prep the kids and train them the right way. So we now have a game, right, that we saw BG play against Toledo, so we got a greater sense of what their mindset's going to be, who their personnel is going to be. We practiced a whole bunch of stuff that we saw on tape, from Eastern a year ago, the bowl game after they played us, and then you're kind of, again, it happens no matter when week one is. You got a little bit too much idle time, and you start chasing goals, creating goals, doing a whole bunch of stuff, and then you look at it and you're like, those are all wasted reps that we practice that stuff, just because you got to make sure that the kids are trained and prepared for everything. So again, just having a great focus of, exactly what we're going to see, anticipating the moves on the chessboard, and making sure that we're giving our kids, the pictures that they're going to see during the service periods, so that they can think fast, know fast, do fast.
I guess you guys had a pretty solid run game in the first half against Eastern Michigan, and it kind of slowed down a bit in the second half, and you had to start taking chances on some passes later the game got. But I want to know, did that run game, was that something you guys wanted to steer away from in the second half the other day? Or did it just seem that their adjustments combated what you guys had going on in the first half?
I think it was more of a predicament of, just kind of situational football. In that second half, we started 2 drives backed up inside the 5. So, they're going to load the box. They're going to challenge the run. So we were able to take some shots there. So it's just kind of a product of a lot of different things, that it wasn't necessarily one thing where we ever want to get away from the run. In the same way, our plan to win, Ben, this, is that we want to control the controllables first and foremost, to give ourselves a chance to win, stop the run and run the ball, So we got to make sure that we do a good job with that, be consistent throughout it. But if we're sitting here and 212 net rushing yards isn't enough, we'll get better and we'll do more.
Thanks, Coach.
No problem, Ben.
Anybody else have questions for Coach Lewis?
I have some more. Somebody else does.
Let's call on Owen from the Kent State, then Alan, we'll swing back around to you. So Owen, if you've got any questions for Coach.
Hey, Coach. So 2 questions about the passing game to kind of go back to that I noticed. First, Dustin was sacked a lot last year. He seemed fairly well protected on Wednesday. So just talk a little bit about, you had a lot of linemen come back. Were there any specific points that you talked with them about or that you worked on in the offseason to improve his, just improve the pocket for Dustin?
I think that's a culmination not only of what the offensive line had done, and I think that was an area where we did do a good job in our preparation of, we knew what their pressures were going to be, what some of their favorite pressures were in situations. So the offensive line and the running backs that are tied in with protection as well did a really good job, keeping Dustin upright. They did a fabulous job. The touchdown to win the game to Mark Williams, kind of blew up on social media, which was really cool. But if you go back and you look at that play, Marquez Cooper, the true freshman running back, there's a Sam pressure off the edge from the field. He goes and meets it, stones it. And, without that block, without that unselfish play, nothing else happens. So, again, I think all 11 guys together doing their jobs, whether it's wide receivers seeing hot routes and converting it so that Dustin can get the ball out of his hands, and the 5 offensive linemen playing together through one set of eyes and seeing things the same way. They weren't 100% right, but the times where they were wrong, they were all wrong together, so we could still be right. It wasn't one half doing one thing, another half doing another thing. They were all on the same page, and again, we can still clean some things up and be on the right page, but they were playing together, and as long as we're playing together as a team and as a unit, we got a chance.
And so wide receiver core is kind of the opposite of the line, where there's almost no, it's almost all new faces. You had Dante step up a lot with 6 catches, and then Isaac and Deshaun both had 3, but none of those were really deep balls. Is there anybody that you're looking to step up and kind of alongside Isaiah catching those balls down the field?
All of them. They all need to stretch the field vertically.
All right, Alan, you said you had a few more questions for Coach?
Sure, yeah. obviously the COVID is an ongoing battle. What can you just give us kind of a report on how you guys are handling that and where you are with that?
Day to day, as always, leaning on our medical people, getting some guys back today for practice who were out, and then waiting on test results from yesterday before we step on the field today to make sure that there was nothing new that popped up from the game. Also waiting on test results from Eastern Michigan to make sure that there was nothing that popped up on their roster through contact tracing. So that is a hour by hour, that ain't even day by day. I mean, that is hour by hour, ever changing. And we are keeping our knees bent with all that new information that comes as it comes in.
As the coaching staff, where are you guys at in that? Have you guys been able to stay away from that for the most part, or how's that been going?
Yeah, I mean, we've been solid. We've had a few that I think, just like the general population, that have been shut down because of contact tracing, and have had it and recovered. Myself being one, so we're good.
When did you have? Like, was it recent, or did you catch it earlier?
During preseason camp.
Okay.
About a month ago now.
Month ago. Okay. Wow. Having gone through it, what are your thoughts about it now that I didn't realize you did? I mean,
I was really aware of it all along, and really cautious about all of it. It's not something that, I wanted. It's not something that I want anyone to experience. Went through it, fortunate enough, came out the other side. Everything's all right. But I mean, follow the guidelines, wear your mask, keep your social distancing. It was one of those deals where everyone's like, well, how'd you get it? I'm like, how'd you get your latest cold? You don't know the exact moment that it happens. And take care of yourselves. I think through all of this, we've all probably learned the most that our health is our greatest wealth with all of this thing. So take time for yourself and be smart and take care of others, that if you don't feel well, stay home.
okay. Just last one on that. Just you've mentioned, I mean, the preseason was already difficult enough to try to figure things out. And obviously you probably had to be away for a period of time. How did that impact preparation, I guess?
Our staff did a tremendous job. We have the greatest staff in the country. I wouldn't want to be in, this battle with anyone else. And I tell you what, the same way that we ask our kids and all these young kids that we talked about stepping up to the experience, the staff did just the same. We got a next man up mentality in our whole family. Guys rose to the occasion, and we were able to continue to go forward. And just like I told the team, afterwards, the game and everything, that no one's more important than the team. And it's all about the team. And so even when I was down and I couldn't be with the team, this thing isn't about me. It's about the players, and it's about all the people who have come before us here at Kent State and this Flash Fast family, and doing what's necessary for the overall family goals. So I was down, others stepped up. We ask that of our kids all the time, and they did a great job. And we'll continue to go on through these challenges, through these adversities in this way, in this manner. And I know we'll come through it the right way.
Okay. I mean, as far as who was missing last week, do you have any idea if any of them will be back, or what the situation is there?
For sure, I do not. No, not for sure.
Okay. Switch to BG. Obviously had a lot of success with them last year. They struggled in their opener. Is there any, I know you don't really think that there'll probably be an issue with overlooking them or anything like that, but at the same time, they're okay. They're kids. Yeah, I'm sure you have to have a conversation a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the medicine we got on Wednesday night is going to keep us locked in for the task at hand. And again, I think that goes back to how we go about our business, that especially given this year, we only have 6 opportunities that are guaranteed. So, if you don't do right today, we won't get this opportunity on Tuesday, and I think that heightened sense of focus, that greater sense of urgency, that would kind of lead to a laissez-faire Tuesday because of, the normal kind of in between the white line stuff. I think with everything else that's going on in our world, it's given our kids a greater appreciation of every little thing, to do that to the best of your ability and to not take anything for granted, and again, BG is a much improved team. It's not the team that we played a year ago, and regardless of what the scoreboard was, the other night for them, you know, they got some dynamic playmakers. They got a really good staff, and I know that they're going to be prepared. And you know, we got to come with the right mindset to handle our business because we're going to be in a fight.
Just real quick, last one, just personnel-wise, who do you see there that kind of jumps out a little bit?
You know, they're all conference tight end. They're all conference running back. You know, I see them as those caliber of players. Those are guys that jump off immediately. And then in their defensive front, their D line, they got some dynamic pass rushers that give you some problems. You know, that number 44, his name escapes me right now, but you know, he kind of lines up all over the place, whether he's on the edge as a 5 technique or they put him over at tight end to create some issues with your pass pro, or they'll even bump him down into a 3 technique to get him over a guard. You know, there was a play in that Toledo game where he's down in a 3 tech and he swims the guard right now because the guard's to the man side. And I think Toledo's quarterback's probably still feeling that hit. You know, I mean, he's a dynamic player. So, you know, we got to do a great job. You know, hopefully, again, we can play as a unit up front to keep Dustin upright because their D line poses a threat. And then we got to be aware of where their tight end and where their tailback are at all times.
Last round of opportunities for questions. Otherwise, we'll turn it over to Jeremy in the Mid-American Conference. You had a couple of questions.
Good. Okay. Hey, Coach. Congrats on the win, first and foremost. Working on something from our office for next week, highlighting Veterans Day. Just want your comments on what Veterans Day means to you and a message to all those veterans out there.
First and foremost, to all our vets, thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything. And I think something that we always got to remember is that on Veterans Day, you know, everyone gives a token of their thanks. But I think we got to be aware as citizens of this great country that each and every single day we're living a life that's worth protecting, that those young men and women who have served, that we live a life of value that is worth serving for and protecting for our freedoms of this great country. So thank you to all our servicemen and women and our veterans far and wide.
Appreciate you doing that. Thank you.
No problem.
Well, guys, that should wrap everything up. We will, we've been recording this. We will upload it to our YouTube page as well as the Mid-American Conference Dropbox, should anybody need some sound from that. If you guys have any other questions, you know how to reach me. But in the meantime, I'll kick it back over to Coach for some closing thoughts.
Nothing more than just go Flashes.
Well, there you have it, folks. Thanks for attending, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.